Can your HOA really tell outsiders they can't trick or treat in your neighborhood? Can they post volunteers at entrances, check in cars like some private security checkpoint? Because that's exactly what one HOA tried to do, and the internet lost it. In one community, I'm sure there's plenty of others, but in one community in particular, an HOA sent out a Halloween letter that told residents trick-or-treating would be limited to children who reside in the neighborhood. Volunteers would be stationed at the entrance to check vehicles and turn away outsiders. They claimed it was about safety and preserving the neighborhood's integrity. But when that letter made its way to Reddit, people went ballistic. "You don't own the roads, Karen. You can't police candy distribution," said one commenter. So they're basically banning kids from neighboring communities from having fun, someone else asked. Imagine telling a 7-year-old they can't trick or treat here. This is what people hate about HOAs. Somewhere along the way, boards forget they're not mayors. The outrage isn't about Halloween. It's about what this represents, which is the creeping overreach of HOA power. Most people join communities thinking they're buying peace and order. Instead, they feel like they find themselves living under micro regulations about holiday lights, parking, and even how long your pumpkin can stay on your porch. The comments poured in. People mocked the tone, the entitlement, and the absurdity of turning a neighborhood tradition into a private members-only event. One user nailed it when she said, "HOAs always start with, we just want to maintain standards, and they end up acting like petty governments." So this begs the question, can HOAs legally do this? All right, let's look at what the law actually says. If the streets are public, the HOA has zero authority to restrict who walks or drives on them. They can't post guards, they can't block cars, and they definitely can't ban kids from other neighborhoods. Public roads belong to the city, not the HOA, period. However, if the roads are private, sure, they can limit access. But even then, they can't just decide this on a whim overnight. The governing documents, the bylaws, the CC&Rs, that's the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, must explicitly grant them the authority to control ingress and egress. That's who's coming and going. They also have to adopt such a rule properly. And if the HOA skips these steps, the rule isn't valid, period. In short, an HOA can't just send out a letter and start policing candy traffic. There's a process, and most don't follow it. This whole mess, again, isn't about Halloween. It's about the overreach. When HOA boards start inventing rules out of thin air, they turn community service into community control. They forget that they're managing the neighborhood, not citizens. They're not a police state. So, can an HOA ban outsiders from trick-or-treating? Sometimes, yes, but not without following the law. And in most cases, they can't, because most neighborhoods have public roads, meaning no HOA letter, no matter how official it sounds, has any real legal teeth. So if your HOA tries to pull something like this, ask 3 simple questions. Number 1, did the board properly vote on it according to your governing documents? Number 2, were homeowners notified and given a chance to weigh in? And number 3, do they even have legal authority over what they're regulating? If the answer is no, the rule is nothing more than a bluff printed on HOA letterhead. All right, this might sound like a shameless plug, but it is relevant. One of the biggest issues in situations like this is confusion, people just not knowing what to do. Most HOA boards don't know whether they can legally enforce a new rule or what the process they needed to follow to get that rule instated. That's where Solume's AI platform really changes everything. With Solume Assistant, you can literally type a question like, "Can our HOA restrict non-residents on Halloween?" and get answers instantly based on your governing documents and your state laws. No legal jargon, no guesswork, no risk of sending out a rule that backfires because it's unenforceable. So yes, this is a plug, but it's also the truth. Solume takes the uncertainty and liability out of HOA decision-making, replacing random think we cans with certainty.